probably experienced this: an unfinished story nagging at your curiosity, or a cliffhanger from a series that's constantly haunting you. Our brains are hard at work to seek satisfaction and peace in moments like this. Think of it as an open tab in a browser. It's still running, consuming energy in the background, even when you're not using it, until you choose to close it. This is due to the Zeigarnik effect, or as I like to call it, the open loop effect. So the Zeigarnik effect, named after psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik, is a psychological principle that suggests that our brains remember unfinished tasks better than finished ones. That's why everyone tells you to spend a lot of time on the hook of your content, whether it's your threads, whether it's your YouTube videos, your TikToks, you name it. Everybody's preaching that you need to have hooks. And if you don't know what a hook is, the hook is that catchy opening that instantly piques curiosity and grabs the viewer's attention. It works by opening a loop in our brain similar to an unfinished song chorus that keeps replaying in our head and you just can't do anything about it. So when you're starting your video, try saying, "Ever wondered why you end up watching videos for hours on end on YouTube?" instead of, "In this video I'll be talking about the Zeigarnik effect." Now you see, just asking a question makes it so much more intriguing for you to want to know the answer, because your brain creates an open loop and your brain wants to know the answer. Netflix is a master at using the Zeigarnik effect. It prevents you with the progress bar throughout your video, because when you see this bar, you hate to leave it incomplete. So it's a very manipulative psychological trick. Your brain would rather sacrifice sleep than leave an episode in the middle. That's why we are like, okay, I'm just gonna finish this episode and then I'm gonna go back to work. It's the Zeigarnik effect. But guess what? It doesn't just end at the progress bars, of course. You stop at the end of an episode where there's a cliffhanger. Again, the Zeigarnik effect at play here. And once again, your brain keeps that loop open. So now you just want to finish that episode and then you're like, okay, after this episode, I'm definitely gonna go back to work. But it's not that easy, because Netflix is manipulating you to essentially stay on that platform for as long as possible. And it's not just Netflix, it's TikTok, it's YouTube. Every single platform is manipulating you to stay on the platform for as long as possible. Now let's get back to Netflix. Ever noticed how whenever one episode of a show ends on Netflix, the next one starts almost immediately? There is literally no pause. That's because they don't want to give your brain a chance to realize the task is complete, because if it's complete, your brain is going to tick it out, it's going to get the satisfaction so you can move on with the next thing. No, they don't want your brain to forget it. Instead, you start the next episode opening a new loop and it hooks you in all over again. That's the Zeigarnik effect at play. Now you probably already know this, right? Everybody talks about open loops, but this is where a lot of people go wrong. They think that it's enough to just open loops, but there is an art to it. And just building curiosity isn't enough. You need to understand the second psychological principle to really make some magic happen with your content. This principle is called closure, or need for closure, which was first observed in Gestalt psychology, a school of thought developed in the early 20th century that believes our minds instinctively fill in gaps in information to create a cohesive, complete picture. We are wired as human beings to see incomplete patterns, unfinished arguments, open loops, and we just cannot resist the urge to fill them in and find closure. You've probably felt this with any relationship that you had in the past which ended abruptly. You had a very strong urge to get closure at the time, and the more and more you thought about the relationship, your brain just wanted to know why it ended. Your brain kept trying to come up with reasons, making you spiral more and more. That's just how strong your need for closure can become. So on platforms like Netflix, on YouTube, the design of the homepage itself is crucial in evoking both the Zeigarnik effect and the sense of closure. You've likely noticed the carousel of multiple video thumbnails, some only partially visible. These are strategically crafted to hint that there's more information present, provoking our curiosity and stimulating our brain's need for closure. Now, my lecture on philosophy is over, so let's move past the theory and actually talk about various practical ways you can use these two incredibly powerful principles to create psychologically compelling content across YouTube and basically every other medium. Think about the YouTube YouTubers you love. They keep you binge watching by providing a measured amount of emotional reaction, laughter, suspense, thrill, whatever it may be, but they never give you so much satisfaction that you feel like you are done for the day. Instead, they leave you wanting more, craving that dopamine hit. This is why, despite coming across mediocre content, you keep scrolling through TikTok or YouTube because you don't have enough laughter or enough thrill or enough suspense that your brain is like, okay, I'm done for the day. So let's talk about how this works in the context of YouTube as a creator. You see, YouTube is a vast playground where everyone is striving for viewer attention. A video may start off fascinating, seizing the viewer's attention, but without the frequent rehooks, the same viewer could get bored and leave halfway. So how do we strike the perfect balance? Thumbnails are your first opportunity to create intrigue. People analyze the thumbnail in less than 1/10 of a second, which means they can basically analyze 10 thumbnails, a minimum, per second. You can make good thumbnails by providing just enough information to pique interest, but not enough to satisfy it, creating an open loop that can only be closed by reading the title. You'll see this in almost every single popular YouTube video. For example, let's look at Dan Coe, his most popular YouTube video. The thumbnail says, create an anti-vision. When you look at this thumbnail, at least 3 to 4 questions will pop up in your mind instantly. What is an anti-vision? Why do I need an anti-vision? Would it help me actually accomplish anything, let alone my mission? These many questions are going to make you curious to want to read the title. The title brings it all together, narrows down the number of questions that popped up in your mind because of the thumbnail, but it adds even more curiosity. How can I get ahead of other people by creating an anti-vision? Can I really achieve this in 6 to 12 months? What would happen if I don't have an anti-vision? Fuck, I need an anti-vision to get ahead of others and I need to watch this video now. And then you click. So you click and the intro of the video hooks you in even more by opening more loops. You don't even realize it, but by the first 30 seconds, there are at least 5 to 7 open loops in your mind, each satisfied one by one till the end of the video. Now, if you make really long videos or you make vlogs or action-filled content or maybe even podcasts, you can use these two principles to your advantage by beginning your YouTube video in media res. Now, this is the term that filmmakers use for in the middle of things. So basically, you drop your audience right into the action. This immediately opens multiple loops in their mind. They start asking themselves questions like, who is this? How is this bizarre situation happening? What caused this? Is it possible that the main character will survive this situation? In turn, compelling them to stick around for closure. This is exactly why podcasts do teaser intros, where they tease the most intriguing parts of the video in the first 30 to 60 seconds, opening several loops in your mind. Or why the biggest YouTubers like Mr. Beast start off their videos by giving a quick summary of what they're about to do, while showing clips from the video of themselves doing the same.
This is a $1 billion super yacht, and it's big enough to hold an entire city on the water.
Again, this opens multiple loops in your mind because now you actually see the action happening, and now you want to stick longer to actually experience the action. Speaking of keeping your audience engaged, did you know about Hemingway, one of the most legendary writers of all time, and his weird writing habit? What he used to do was, every single day he would stop his writing in the middle of a sentence, in the middle of a chapter, so that the Zygarnik effect would play out in his own mind, and he had a very compelling reason to go back to it the next day or even later on in the same day and continue right from there, because it was just so much easier to complete a sentence than it would be to start from scratch with a blank page and starting a new chapter. You can use this to your advantage by applying these kind of little tricks into your emails, into your YouTube videos, into any piece of content that you create, by leaving things in the middle so that people have a reason to keep coming back and continuing that sentence or that story. There are also other ways like completion incentives, where you reward viewers for making it to the end of a video or a series, give them a bonus tip or give them some behind the scenes action or give them a promo code, even a downloadable resource or a special tip. But you can also use Zygarnik and closure not just for the meat or the intro of the content, but also for your outros. To boost your video outros click-through rate and lead people into binging your videos instead of your competitors, highlight the key benefits of the next video that address your viewers' viewers' interests or pain points. Maintain their curiosity with an open-ended question or incomplete statement about the next content. Open multiple loops by mentioning several exciting points, each designed to pique interest for the upcoming video. The aim of doing this is to keep anticipation high and create an urge to find out more, leading to increased viewer engagement and click-through rates. But just knowing the Zeigarnik effect and closure is not enough. I want to share with you a secret hack on how to triple your YouTube subscribers in a month by using a strategy that is not well known but has been proven to be highly effective. If you've been struggling to grow your channel, click this video right here to see me unveil this secret growth strategy while I also show you a little trick that can boost your video views overnight. Sounds intriguing? Make sure you tune in. You see how powerful something like that is? It's gonna pique curiosity, it's gonna make your brain want to know the result of watching the next video, and so you're gonna be enticed really hard to click that next video. And even if you don't watch it right now, you're gonna want to come back to it later on because your brain is gonna keep opening that loop in your mind and it's not gonna go away because your brain wants the answers to that question. Now, there are some pitfalls to avoid when using such psychological principles too. I'll get to those in about 30 seconds or so, but first, this is something you need to understand. These psychological concepts are not just limited to content creation, they are deeply ingrained in our decision-making process as well. When faced with a time limit, humans tend to seize the first few pieces of information they receive and rush to judgment instead of taking all the information that we have. Our brain seeks immediate closure rather than struggling with confusion, even if it means making hasty decisions. This makes it even easier to use these principles to sell something or use copy that will get people to make a decision faster. Now, I won't dive too deep into the exact ways to do this, but let's dive into some ways to use these principles for non-YouTube content. So when you're selling a course or a product, you can leverage the Zeigarnik effect and closure by revealing partial information about that thing and leaving the rest to the viewer's imagination. This will create a curiosity gap, an open loop that they would want to close by purchasing your product or course. Another effective strategy is to ask for small commitments. Our brain, always eager to complete tasks and achieve closure, will likely proceed beyond the initial small commitment anyways. For instance, if you encourage your audience to listen to your podcast or read your article for just 30 seconds, chances are they will continue doing it for much longer. This approach can be a powerful way to hook your audience and keep them engaged with your content. Sparking curiosity and highlighting gaps in knowledge can make your audience crave. For instance, if you make your audience realize how much they don't know about a subject and give them just a glimpse of information, you can create a thirst for more. Use this to your advantage in call to actions like encouraging people to open the first chapter of your book or the first module of your course. This can also be highly effective to schedule follow-up calls or when closing deals, because you tell somebody that they don't know enough about what they thought they knew enough about and now they want to know more, and so they're going to schedule that follow-up call or they're going to sign up for your service because they actually want to know what they don't know. But as Spider-Man's Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility. So there are some pitfalls to avoid when using these psychological principles. For example, if you open a loop that you will not be talking about, your audience's attention will be stuck on that particular thing and they may lose interest in the rest of your content. While researching the Zeigarnik effect for this video, I watched one particular video from an entrepreneur explaining how to use this psychological principle in your marketing. 30 seconds into the video, he says, "Oh, excuse me for the holes in my t-shirt, even though I don't care about it." My mind was just stuck on that for the rest of the video. I hadn't even noticed the holes in his t-shirt, but I went back and rewatched the video and now I cared more about the holes in the t-shirt than the content itself. I actually did not end up getting anything out of that video because I was constantly just concentrating on finding where the holes were in his t-shirt. Maybe that's a very clever way to use a Zeigarnik effect, but if nobody's actually gonna engage and consume the piece of content and they're gonna be there for another reason, well, there's really no purpose to spreading your information to other people. You're not gonna achieve your goal. Also, very importantly, remember to keep opening new loops before completely closing another one. Never give true satisfaction until the end of the video. Maybe this sounds too manipulative. Let me rephrase that too. It not only keeps them engaged but also ensures they watch the entire video. But regardless, remember that understanding the audience's psychology helps us design more engaging content, because in the end, what we want is for the audience to engage with with the content so they actually grasp the information and you leave an impact on the world. Balancing the Zeigarnik effect and the need for closure can make a massive difference in your content success. So if you're a veteran or a beginner, regardless, keep your audience hooked, give them closure, let them enjoy the ride, experiment, get creative, and find the sweet spot between seizing attention and providing closure. It's about empowering yourself to communicate better, to connect more profoundly, and to create content that resonates with your target audience. After all, knowledge is power, isn't it? So that's all for today, folks. Now I hope you enjoyed this exploration of the human mind and how it interacts with content, and I hope it was enlightening. I'm going to continue making more such videos with deep insights to help you up your YouTube game, but understand that just knowing the psychology isn't enough. Yeah, it's great to know humans, but you also need to know how the algorithms work, and that's why you should definitely watch this video where I really break down how the YouTube algorithms work. There are 9 YouTube algorithms, by the way. Most people only know that there's one of them, so you need to know how the 9 algorithms work so that you can design your content for each of the algorithms differently so that your audience ends up watching the right content and you actually end up getting views on your content from the people that you want to view that content. That's all for today, guys. Click on the video, learn about the algorithms, and blow up your channel. Peace.